Oh,
Okay, so here we are
here we are.
with Emma. And Emma, we've been talking for a little while now, so we've been recording now. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing and all that sort of thing, please?
Yeah, I'm currently back at university, second time around to get a second degree in history. And I had the possibility of doing a placement in Huddersfield with the Antilles Credit Union. So I'm just sort of planning everything out and sort of getting information and chatting to anyone who can help. And yeah, that's where I'm at the minute.
Okay, that's great. And we sort of made connection again. I say again, in this case again via what's his name now?
Oh, Brian.
Brian, yes,
Yeah.
It's an email, right? But we've met before. Would you want to say a few?
That's right. Yeah, we did. I was doing a crazy charity walk, 2,000 miles in 2018. And part of that, I was at the Birmingham RAF 100 celebrations and we met there.
Oh my goodness. and I remember looking at that storyline, afterwards and thinking, wow, I met that lady.
Yeah, me.
How did that go?
Yeah, it was really good. You know what? It was the best thing I'd ever done. It really was. It was such an amazing experience, speaking to people that have been in the Air Force, their experiences, finding out about not just about them, but the families, their lives, and then, meeting wonderful people on the walk that were sort of helping facilitate, and some of them are still friends now. It was just such an amazing experience.
Fantastic. And why did you do that in particular, the Air Force base?
Because my son is in the RAF.
Okay.
And it just so happened that he was graduating and finishing his training in 2018.
Right.
And he got posted to RAF Lossiemouth, which just so happened to be where I was finishing my walk.
Wow, so, Lossiemouth, Scotland. That's a long way up.
It is a very long way up. So, when I finally finished this 2,000-mile trek, there was my son and carrying my Bergen for me. I don't think he was very impressed, to be fair. I think it was very embarrassing for him.
Wow. So how many stations did you cover?
I think 23, I think.
Oh my goodness.
It was a lot, and I ended up sort of zigzagging up and down the country. And
yeah, because they do the zigzag, don't they, really?
Yeah, very much
East, west, north, south. Wow, that's fantastic. And obviously some charity are benefited by what you did, yeah? In terms of
the Royal Air Force Association.
Absolutely fantastic, which I'm a member of now.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, superb. So now that you're doing this the second time at university around, what are you actually doing?
I'm doing a history degree. I would love to be able to go on and do a master's and a PhD afterwards, but I just need to get through this one first.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, and as I say, I've got the possibility of doing this placement over summer, which is part of the course. We have to do a work placement, which we then sort of get assessed on.
Right.
So I'm sort of looking at this potential one, which is with the Antilles Credit Union, looking at their culture and their history.
Right. Hence why we're talking, really.
Yes.
Because as you know, I've set up this company called the Forgotten Generations.
Yes.
A not-for-profit organization looking at British, African, and Caribbean people and their history.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mainly on
It's fantastic.
a verbal, as in, written, verbal, and visual side.
Yeah, definitely.
I do interviews as much as I can to any and everybody, telling their story. And we've all got a story to tell.
Absolutely.
So I quite enjoy that. And as I interview people, I find that it's quite therapeutic for them, telling. But one thing I know for sure is that a lot of people do not know a lot about what I'm doing, especially schools.
Yeah, very
educational establishments.
Yeah.
You know, not just the general public. People are not taught a lot of historical facts about African and Caribbean people.
Oh, absolutely. There's a massive gap, you know, in the curriculum for it. It's just totally sort of glossed over. I mean, until I started university, obviously you know something, you know it's happened, it's there, but you don't really know the in-depth side of it. You don't know the perspectives and the people stories. And I think that with this potential placement, that's one thing that I'm really keen to enhance and to bring out is the stories and the people stories, and to enhance that culture and the whole, you know, the way they've built their lives in Huddersfield.
Yes, yes. And education is key, really, because people learn to respect each other more when they know about individuals, you know, each other. And as I do talks around the community or communities, Rotary Club, Women's Institute, etc. A lot of people are educated to the point that they were like mouth agog, because they only know about what they see on the TV.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
In the newspaper, on the radio, and it's bad news sells more than good news. Yes,
sadly, that is true as well.
You know, so education is key. Yeah, so very, very much delighted that I'm in contact with you.
Yes, likewise. You know, it's just so wonderful to have this sort of fountain of knowledge that you are.
Oh, I've never heard it put that way before. Thank you.
You know, and be able to, you know, to talk and, you know, get your perspectives on things. And I think what I'm very aware of is making sure that the language is correct, and, you know, making sure that we tell the right perspective, and not an expected perspective. You know, people tend to sort of think, oh yes, this is what's happened because we have this generalized narrative.
Yes.
But actually that's not correct. That's not the real history. And that's the part that I'm interested in, is getting to the bottom of that. But obviously using the right people, speaking to the right people, using the right language, you know, because I think that's incredibly important as well.
Yes, it is important, because nobody can tell the story as much as the person or the people themselves.
Yeah.
If somebody else writes your story, then they're likely to either, one, do not fully get the full concept.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the actual narrative that they use is very important, because it gives, you know, all the nuances, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I do understand what you're saying. You know, so it's fantastic to have you on board. And as I say, we got my website here with a lot of information,
it's brilliant.
You know, that you know, you can go through and hopefully substantiate what you're doing. And so what are you hoping for from myself and yourself meeting?
Well, obviously initially, like I say, it's just I want to make sure that I tell or express the right things in the right way. To say, you know, I feel in some respects it's a little bit like walking on eggshells, that you make sure that, because obviously I am a white woman, and I don't want to kind of put my thoughts or my preconceived ideas, if you like, on a subject I don't really know that much about. So you know, it's you know, being sort of guided in the right way and making sure that, you know, I do it with respect, and you know, enrich the culture, and, you know, make sure it's all done, you know, correctly.
Yes. And you know, I don't know what you've done in life in terms of your professions and things like that, but you know, it's great to be able to go into this direction and learn more about, you know, a different culture. It's something that I've had to learn as I came here as a young lad from Jamaica, age 13, went to school, left school at 18 and joined the Royal Air Force.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when I joined the Royal Air Force, I had no idea about people of my color, what I had done before myself, trailblazers, World War One, II, and many other conflicts. I had no idea. So I didn't actually stand on their shoulders. I should have done that. The knowledge and understanding of what they've done, that should have been a platform for me.
Yeah.
To go on. So what I do now, as a community ambassador, as a role model, is that I speak to young, especially the young generation, but obviously to everybody, and say, look, you know, your foreparents were trailblazers. They fought to make us free. Therefore, you belong.
Yeah.
Because that's a message
that's
that's very important to people who they don't feel like they belong. You know, even though they may be born here as well, they don't feel as if they belong. So I say, yeah, you do. You do belong here because your foreparents fought and died. Some of them died for this country to make us all free. So you become a part of the British history as such, you know, extremely important. Yeah. So going back to this, the website is a one-stop shop, is what I'm trying to provide, an educational tool for whatever establishment. And I try to bring as much information in on this as possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. So as I say, I haven't sent off the application yet. So am I okay to sort of say that this is something that you're interested in? It would be wonderful to link up with yourself doing this.
Absolutely. I'm willing to take this as far as possible because education was at the forefront of my mind when I started this. Yeah. So what you're doing is very much a part of all of this. You know, at the moment, I'm just saying at the moment, I fund this all from my pocket. So, you know, I'm just saying that if in the process of doing this, if they're paying for research and everything, and, you know, anybody wants to donate towards something like this, then I'm just saying it, that's, I'm willing for anybody to donate.
Right, you know, I hear you, yeah. That's brilliant, yeah.
You know, because a lot of this information I have to gather, and then I have to get it sorted out on the website itself, and then I have to pay somebody to do it for me. And whoever I use, they're very, very good in terms of, you know, you will see as you go through the website.
Yes.
Yeah. So the cross section I use there is obviously trying to tell stories from a white perspective. So I look at honors and awards, because a lot of people again don't know that people have achieved honors and awards in armed forces. I cover businesses as well of people within the different communities, you know, people striving and doing well. You know, the young generation needs to know this and see and realize that they too can actually benefit by others who have gone through this particular process. Arts and photography, really, really very, very. I have a cousin, his name is Van Burke, and he's just been named in a book just launched by the High Commissioner of Jamaica.
Wow.
Was launched last week, I think it was. And because of the work that he's done, they've actually gone around UK and looked at the most influential Jamaicans in this case, right?
Fantastic.
And he's named as one of them. He's my cousin. Wow. And he's done wonderfully well for the last 50, 60 years. I've taken photographs of Black people within the Midlands and beyond. Even Nelson Mandela, a place like that.
Wow.
So his work is now used and has been used for years for university work as a part of the Central Library of Birmingham. Yeah. Wow,
that's amazing.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And loads more on the Arts and Photography page. Poetry. I myself am a poet, and I've written quite a few, and some have been released. One of them, which was autographed by the Queen.
Wow. Amazing.
I'll get that on there soon. There's a media page, and I try to actually include the various sort of newspapers that covers the,
Yeah.
the Caribbean community and that sort of thing. Monuments and memorials I cover as well on there to show where the different ones are. And these are growing pages, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a work in progress, isn't it? It's
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like a live thing. It's sort of, developing as you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Music page. There is a music page on there.
You've thought of everything.
Yeah. And did you know that the first electric guitar was actually developed by a Jamaican?
No way. That's amazing.
Ex-Royal Air Force.
Wow.
World War II.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And you wonder why I call you a fountain of knowledge.
And then also, did you know that there was a sixth Beatle?
A sixth Beatle?
A black man.
No.
The story is on there, on the music page.
I'll have a look. I will check that out.
He helped to launch the Beatles when they first started out and went into Europe.
Wow.
There's a lot of woes on here. And of course, I cover politics as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I put stuff on there with the political world that there's so much injustices that's gone on.
Yeah, yeah.
Around the world and still going on. And we're not even mentioning slavery, because slavery is on there as well as a page, right? And then of course, sports. I put sub-pages on the sports page.
Yeah.
Football, cricket, athletics, and all that sort of thing that's actually on there. It's work in progress because there's a lot that's not on there at the moment. And very importantly, I've got a tribute page. And I try to pay tribute to those who have gone on and that sort of thing. So, it's quite wide here. So I love to work with you as you take it forward, and hopefully, success is what
you're fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Because I'm local and they're doing it over the summer, I'm hoping that I stand a better chance because most students go home for summer.
Okay.
So I'm sort of hoping that because I'm here, and obviously I am a bit older than most, I have a bit more experience. But
that is sometimes in your favor, though.
That's what I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. So yeah, and it's wonderful, to have your sort of knowledge and guidance as well on the subject. And
one of the things that I would like to ask is for you to try and find out if there are any ex-servicemen of that, especially elderly from World War II.
Yep. Okay. I'll find out.
There's one in Leeds that I interviewed.
Okay.
He's 96. And as I comb the country, I know there's some in London, which I spoke to a little bit, but I'm trying to interview a lot of as many as possible, because they're all in the 90s.
Yes, of course, yes.
So, the days are numbered.
Yes. Absolutely,
so
yes.
If there are any links at all, militarily wise or otherwise, people who've got a story to tell that they're from the Caribbean or whatever, I like to, and if they want to tell their story, I'll do an interview with them.
Yeah, definitely. I will find that out and I will get back to you on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Which then hopefully that will enhance what you're doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can, having now spoken to you, I've got some wonderful key phrases and words and stuff that I can sort of now use to put into the application and that, which is brilliant. And then obviously, with the added sort of bonus, if you like, of to be able to say that this is the forgotten generations, and put it all together, hopefully that will produce something very positive.
Yeah. Here, when I do my talks, right, I mean, I've obviously varied depending on who I'm speaking to, right? But in general, especially on a military basis, I speak about 3 different topics: World War I, World War II, and a current serving person. So in World War I, there's a young lad who left the Caribbean age 16, came to this country like many others and joined the British West Indian Regiment in Seaford in Essex.
Wow, okay.
It was formed then by Winston Churchill, right? And as I say to, I think I said that to you before, because Black people those days weren't allowed to join the armed forces.
Yeah.
The British West Indian Regiment was formed, and a lot of the islands send representatives, as you can see on each page, how many sent, and made up that regiment. So it had 11 battalions, right? So this young lad, age 16, as it happened, came from Jamaica and joined the 6th Battalion. And his battalion was sent to France. And while he was there, in the thick of it, you know, the mud and the bullets and whatever, a lot of people who suffered from shell shock actually wandered away from their post.
Yeah.
And some of them wandered anyway.
Yeah.
And back in those days, they made an example of them. He wandered away twice, and he was executed, age 17, on the 20th of September 1917. Now, this became quite a story because there were 340 odd people that were executed in World War I for desertion.
Crazy, isn't it?
In 2006, David Cameron pardoned most of them. So if you go to National Memorial Arboretum now, there's what is called a shot at dawn memorial.
All right.
And this young lad, Herbert Morris, he's number 200 of the 309 that's there. Now, I managed to trace and find his grave in Belgium, and we lay a wreath for the last 5 years on his tombstone.
Wow.
And I got a copy of his file from the Belgian Museum. And in his file are all the details of when he was going to be shot, who signed it off. And in there it said, there's a quote from him, and he said, "Sir, all I can hear is noise in my head," which means he was suffering from shell shock.
Yeah.
Can you imagine living in the Caribbean at 16, coming across here, doing training down there and sent across? I mean, he's a baby still.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? So he was wrongfully shot, underage, and suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. So annually we go to the Arboretum now as well.
Oh, that's lovely.
And by his post we do a commemoration for him. That's World War I. World War II, and there's several things to talk about, but these are the things that stand out. I talk about 139s and in brackets Jamaica Royal Air Force Squadron. And I'd never heard about any of this while I was serving, and I served 36 years. That squadron was the first to fly an aircraft into World War II across into Germany to do a reconnaissance. And the next night, because of that reconnaissance, they actually went in and bombed with another squadron. Now they got relocated to France and got obliterated by the Germans. And they had no aircraft left. Jamaica heard about all of this and decided to do a fundraising exercise. And they raised enough money to buy 12 aircraft for that squadron. Winston Churchill, the then Prime Minister, and Lord Leverbrook, who was the aircraft production manager then, said that Jamaica's name would be forever linked with a squadron of the Royal Air Force, as long as the Air Force is in existence. Now, here's the thing. I served 12 of my years on that base in Cambridgeshire, Royal Air Force Whitton, and I didn't know this story. Really? Wow. Right? Did not know that story. And it's on my website, under my name, under the About Us page. If you look, click on my name when it says Don Campbell, but I actually wrote two-sided paper on that to say that what it did. And for my service, I would have loved to have known that. Yeah, definitely. But I just wrote about my service at RF Whitton at the time, right? And the West Indies sent a lot of people, or the Caribbean, the West Indies sent a lot of people across here, and the most decorated West Indian, Ulrich Cross, served on that squadron.
Wow.
And normally you do 30 sorties, probably 50. He did 80. And he was absolutely fantastic. And to know that he was a part of that squadron and all those stories, I'd love to have known that information. So
definitely.
When we say people are not taught things, these are the things that people need to, so that people can feel, that they have contributed.
Absolutely, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's the second thing I talk about. And the third thing is that we've got Sergeant Johnson Bahari. Just look him up and look at YouTube. He's on my website as well. I've got a photo standing there with him. And he is, I think he's the only serving person with a Victoria Cross.
Wow.
And he should have had it twice.
Really?
And I asked him about it. And he said, yes, I should have had it. Because when you go on YouTube, put his name in there, it tells you on 2 different occasions, he did virtually the same thing.
Yeah.
And what he did was amazing.
Oh, I'll have a look.
And he's got a scar across his head because they had to cut him open, shrapnel out of his head. Very lucky to survive. So those are 3 major things I talk about, especially about the military. But I talk about other things, where depending on who I'm talking to.
I will definitely see if I can find out if there's any more around here. I'm sure there will be. I'll see if I can find out for you.
That'd be fantastic.
But and then we'll have to link up again and have if I get this, we'll have another chat and.
All right, brilliant. Yeah,
should be fantastic.
Whichever way I can help, Emma. I just love all of this.
Fantastic. So, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you again. And thanks to Brian for linking up together.
Indeed. Good old Brian.
Okay. So let me just stop the recording now, okay?
Okie dokie.
By the way, are there any questions, other questions that you want to ask?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything that I sort of wanted initially to ask. I'm sure I will have a million more if I get this placement and I can come back to you.
Yes.
But even if I don't, I'd still like to help and I'd still like to work with you. So, I'm sure we'll catch up again. When I sort of one way or the other and we'll sort it out. That'd be brilliant.
All right. Okay, let me just